everybody, welcome back inside the Stash Project. We are once again resuming our all-Japanese Touring Car Championship Series. And this video is going to focus on the 1992 season. Now, as promised, this video is going to be a little bit longer, especially than the 91 season video, and probably the 93 season video. Probably be one of the, again, two longest videos we do, and just in terms of the availability of kits and decals to really do a lot of things. If you were to build both team cars for a couple of these things we're going to discuss, you could build 18 model kits for the 1992 season. Some of them require a little bit of ingenuity in terms of purchases to get some old kits and some old decal sets. But all in all, the vast majority of it is readily available out there if you're willing to look it up, or look for it, I guess I should say. I already looked it up. Now you just have to find it. So, in 1992, this was really when we saw the GTRs truly come to the forefront. There are basically, I'm looking here, there are 8 GTRs that run the season, plus a 9th that comes on board for just the final race, the Intertech race at Fuji at the end of the season. Ironically, there are decals to do that one race car, which makes that Honda that Hasegawa did for the 94 season that ran just the Intertech season seem like maybe it wasn't such a wild idea anyway, or a wild idea after all. Anyway, the Hasami Motorsports team wins the championship in 1992. As we mentioned, the GTRs run the championship table for the entire time that they are in the touring season, because in 1994 we're going to go to FIA Class 2 specification, which is sedans. At that point, the GTRs take off and go to Super GT, which is basically forming after the Japanese sports car prototype series, which ran Group C cars, came to an end. So it's all a seamless transition, although the types of vehicles used are quite different. Obviously, a Group C car and a Group A car are a little bit different. Although the version of the R32 Group A car you get in Super GT is quite a bit different than the actual homogenized factory showroom racer kind of thing that you have in the actual touring car series. So we're just going to do these by class, basically. The only Class A or Division 1 cars that we're running at this point are GTRs. So all these first several things I'm going to talk about are just strictly R32 GTRs. For the decals that are available, you can put them on any given Tamiya GTR kit or the Fujimi GTR Group A reissue. I'm going to show you several sets of decals, and the sets of decals I'm going to show you are, I believe, all available in the sense of, like, you go on eBay, Hobby Link Japan, other vendors like Media Mix, especially because they seem to carry a lot more out-of-stock stuff than a lot of other places, and pick these decals up either new or new old stock very, very easily. The kit boxes that I'm going to show you are things that are currently, like as of today, because I just pulled these things today, are currently available on Yahoo Japan auctions, which is where I get a lot of my secondhand used Japanese kits. New stuff, Hobby Link Japan, Hobby Search, places like that. Yahoo Japan auctions is sort of Japan's answer, if you will, to eBay. Now, there are a lot of Japanese sellers that sell on eBay, but those are mostly hobby shops or people who have a large collection to dispose of. Individual people sell a lot more on Yahoo Japan auctions. And you'll, as a United States citizen or North American or European or anything like that, you'll need a proxy service, and basically, they bid for you, and you end up paying fees and things like that. But for some of these things, there's no other way to get them. So all depends on how badly you want them. So I just wanted to put that out there, that the kit boxes, I mean, I have several kits here that I'm going to show you throughout the video as well, but the kit boxes I'm going to show you are things that are easily, findable. And by the way, none of these kits that I'm going to show you, by the way, are more than $30 as it stands right now. So they're not super, super ridiculously expensive either, the way for some reason those Hasegawa kits got. The one thing, of course, you look into when you're talking about kits secondhand kits are what kind of conditions were the kits stored in. Looking at the decals for most of these, the decals, if nothing else, would need to be have the old trick of putting them in a window to bleach out the yellowing in the decals. You know, because these kits, for the most part, came out around the time that these cars ran, or a year or two later. So 92 season, you're talking about kits that were produced in 93, 94, maybe late, early 95. So you got decals that are 20 plus years old. So, yeah, so let's just plow right on into what's going on here. So let me bring up my screen in the background here so I know what I am looking at and talking about. So, Team Hasami, they changed sponsorships in 1992, and they're now running their Jex livery. Hasami will take this sponsorship into Super GT or JGTC. It's when its first couple seasons. I actually think it's till 2005. The racing series is known as the Japanese Grand Touring Car Championship. So it's the next level of touring car. So he takes this sponsorship with him when the GTRs leave. But in 1992, then these decals are available pretty much everywhere. Still, Hobby Link Japan, they're out of stock in Hobby Link Japan, but you can't order them through Hobby Link Japan. So you get the Jex livery here. This livery, I also believe, I don't have my translator up to see what this says here with a whole bunch of Japanese printing, because these are old Studio 27 decals. They still sell them, but they haven't fixed, if you will, the decal placement sheets to be in English more than Japanese. So a lot of you'll see I have a set of these of another car. They're the same way. I'm not sure that you can do 2 seasons worth of cars out of this, or if it's what the blurb is saying here, because there are a couple of things in brackets indicating that there is another decal option. It may just be a different part of the season. But at any rate, this Jex livery wins the first race of the season and the 5th race of the season outright, and they are, again, your championship car for 1992. There is, for the next one, for the Team Tyson car, I didn't, by the way, guys, I'm sorry if you're into the who finished where kind of thing. I didn't pull the 2nd, 3rd place winners in this. I just pulled the winning cars because there's just so much here. Team Tyson runs a car in 1992, and they're still, obviously, they're running a GTR. Now, there are decals available for this car from Studio 27, but as far as I'm concerned, those decals are sort of one of those unobtainium things. They're out of production. You might see them here and there, but they're not going to be easily found. What is relatively easily found, if you want to build this car, again, a lot of white on dark lettering here, so you're going to bleach the decals back to white or something along those lines, is the Fujimi version of that car. So this is the number 2 R32 GTR. Advan, STP, Tyson, if you know your Tyson colors, if you will, or your Advan colors, you know of the black cars with the red front bumpers and the red rear ends. So that's out there. And then the next racing car set you have for the GTRs is the FET Motorsports, or the FET Racing car. Again, a set of decals exists for this from Studio 27, but they are not readily available. They are out of production. Also out of production, but easily findable, because hey, I found it, right? And I wasn't looking that particularly hard for it. Is another Fujimi GTR. Fujimi did a series of these R32 kits, and here that is right here, the FET Powercraft, or the FET Sports car. If you had a little bit of ingenuity in you, and you could match the paint, this blue paint that's used on the decals, you could, with some trimming here and there, and I'm not sure if the drivers would match or not, but this FET livery is basically the same livery that was used on the Sierras, the Fords. So, with a little bit of creativity, you could probably backdate some of these FET liveries into a Sierra if you so desire. But then you're talking about you're using out of production decals on an out of production kit and sort of creating your own decals for it. I really wish Fujimi would reissue the Sierra in some sort of limited release program. Have Domino do it like they did the Cosworth Escort rally car. because there are just so many decal sheets that would be available for it at this point if it was available again. It's a shame. It really is. But anyway, so the FET car is up there. Now, I don't have a picture of the decals or a picture of the kit because they're only decals. They're out of production. I can't find them anywhere. I can't even find pictures of the decal sheet. But Object T also ran a GTR in 1992. That would be the Axia livery. Now, it's very, very close to the kit, the Tamiya kit that we showed you for the 1991 season. However, associate sponsorships are different and things like that. I would really have to see, with the kit decals and like watching some YouTube videos of the 92 season as to how different they are and whether or not decals exist out there and maybe other kits that you could transplant in and things like that if you really were very, very specifically wanting that Axia car. Like I said, again, Studio 27 made the decals, but they're not readily available. The Object T GTR, the Axia car, would win the fourth race of the season. And then we go over to Team Impol, which is the Calsonic car. Now, of course, the Calsonic team is now back on the number 12, but there's not really a kit readily available for it. But again, Frankie over SK Decals got you covered. So here again, this is again one sheet that covers all of the seasons we talked about in the last video, but it now is showing. Here's the layout sheet basically for the 1992 season car. The Calsonic team would win the 3rd, 6th, and 7th round of the season. This season expanded to 8 races from the 6 that had been running the previous several years. And then we go to Nismo Racing. Now, Nismo Racing is the set that I happen to have the decals for. It is the Kiyosaki sponsored little green car here. This decal sheet, as you can see up there in the header, is for the 92 or the 93 season. Basically, the differences here are these numbers up here that have the parentheses around them. You change out this Nissan logo for a Nismo logo, and then you change the drivers for the team, and that's really the only difference in the car. It is a very dark green. It's not quite this dark green in real life, but it is a dark green car. These decals I got through Studio 20 or through our Studio 27. I got them through HobbyLink Japan about 6 months ago. So these decals are still out there, and the Nismo team actually won the 2nd round and the 8th round, which is something I didn't even realize when I bought these decals. I just grabbed them because I think these were on sale in like the fall sale that they did, and I was like, oh hey, I'll grab a couple sets of those because they're on sale. And I think they're normally there's no price on these. Usually the price is stamped into the label, but not on these. But anyway, this is like, you see, this is decal set 133. So these are some of the very first 124 scale decals that Studio 27 did. Obviously, you can see, again, the layout sheet is all in Japan. This blurb down here at the bottom is telling you about the 93 season, things being the decals in the brackets. But yeah, so that car was, I just bought the decals because I thought they were kind of funny, or kind of fun, if you will. Not funny, but just a livery you don't see a lot built. And as it turns out, as I did the research for it, well, hey, this was actually a podium. This was a winning car. They actually did really good in the season. Then you have 2 more GTRs that ran. You have the first one, which is the AIM, was known as the AIM racing car. This is the car that ran just the last race of the season. This was team. I actually don't know what the team name was for this. It's just AIM Motorsports is what they're calling it. When you look at who ran this car in like the databases of what cars ran what seasons and what won what races, this is just listed as unknown. So I'm assuming that AIM Racing is just what we're going to go for here. Like I said, this ran legitimately one race in the 92 season, the Intertech race. I don't believe it did even podiumed in that race. But you're drawing in international drivers, so that was the draw. Get some people from Europe or overseas and throw them in a Japanese race car and see how well they do. And those decals are still readily available at your major online vendors. And then that brings us to the last one for the 92 season, and that is the HKS racing team, or Kenjei HKS as it was known. This decal sheet is kind of fun because it's like a dark green car with a lighter green band around it. The pictures are small. I apologize for that, but it is what it is. And the decals themselves give you those great big green swaths behind like the HKS lettering. You paint the car the darker green, and then the lighter green is all decals. That car, again, didn't win anything, and I don't, and again, I didn't pull podiuming on the season just because there's so much to go over. So that gives you all of your Division 1 cars that you can build. In Division 2, pretty much BMW is the only thing that's out there for the Division 2 teams. So that'll bring us back to the illustrious guys that the guys that ran, the M3. This, of course, is the 91 Deutschland model, the DTM model. I believe that in 1992, this is the kit you're going to need. In 1993 season, there were still some BMWs in GT3. Actually, you're going to see GT3 in JTCC. Sorry, I had a conversation about GT3 cars this morning, and I'm still not quite back to normal. What I was going to say is, in 1994, they switched to the 318i, the sedan, because they're in that class. But I believe in 1993, they run the Evo Sport 2 in JTCC. And that is going to be the base kit, of course, that is coming up next from BMAX. They're doing that 2-in-1 kit that's coming out in April that has the Jägermeister and the Fina oil liveries. But that will be probably the kit, I believe, that you will need for the 93 season. For the 92 season, you can use the 91 kit. It is the Evo Sport. Basically, there was an Evo Sport and then an Evolution Sport 2. This is the first of the Evo Sports, if you will. And so this kit, obviously you're not using these decals, right? These are DTM decals. There are 2 sets of decals out there that are available. Both of these decals were created for Studio 27's trans kit that they made several years ago to fix the Fujimi M3. You guys will know because we talked about it throughout just the regular kits, show, the series, that the Fujimi M3 is a disaster, proportionally speaking, in every single way. From the fact that the kidney grills are rectangles to the fact that the roof is too wide and too low and everything else. Fujimi actually made an entire trans kit for that car to fix it and make it look better. Of course, now you have the BMAX kit. So these decals, majority speaking, should fit. The only thing I think it may not fit on these decals would be like these stripes that are designed to run up the side of the car. They may be too short or too tall depending on what you're doing, but that would be very, very easy to mask off and just paint. This is what your car will look like when you're done. Again, the Advan Tyson sort of colors. This car, as it's configured, will allow you to build it basically 2 ways. This is the late season version, which is what this little blurb up here says. And then you can see, like, peeking out through here are numbers to build the earlier season. They changed up drivers and a couple associate sponsorships through the years. So it really depends on how you want to build this, or if you care whether or not you have the right set of drivers. But the Team Tyson BMW, in its early season configuration, which again is the side you can't see here, did win the 3rd race of the season in Division 2. So there is that. The other set of decals, again, these are for the Fujimi / Studio 27 trans kit, are these. And these are still available. You can still get these through HobbyLink Japan as well. It is the AutoTech car. This is the banana yellow BMW, and AutoTech runs that color all the way through the time that they're in JTCC. They've been running this banana yellow car since the late 1980s, except there are no decals or base kit. Well, base kits. You can kit bash the rally car and that kit I just showed you together, or you can get the Group A, earlier Group A resin pieces from Frankie over to SK Decals, but there are no decals for the early seasons. So this will build either the 34 or the 35 car. For the AutoTech, the differences mainly are like the color of the mirrors, and if you've noticed when the graphic was up, the headlight covers are yellow and red depending on which car. Now the 34 car won the 7th race of the season as far as the Division 2 cars go, and the 8th car of the 35 car won the 8th race of the season as far as the Division 2 class goes. So there are a couple of podium cars there for your liking. And that, guys, will cover the Division 2. There are several other M3s that are running, but there are no sets of decals for them. The Being team is what is actually the championship. I don't know why there are not decals for that. I really thought when the M3 was released, we'd see a lot more aftermarket support for it. Frankie's done a lot of good work with the Macau cars, but you have to be, into the gear race of Macau to care one way or the other. I really thought we'd see a lot more movement from Studio 27 in terms of JTCC liveries for the M3, and we got nada. They did a couple of BTCC, British Touring Car race things. They did their own version of one of the Macau cars, and that has pretty much been it. I don't understand why. I don't know if it's because, BMAX is, Chinese via Macau, and they're not going to support that. I just don't get it, which again takes me back to the whole idea of having Adobe Illustrator or Corel Draw and start drawing some decals up. But be that as it may, that's another rant for another day. And that'll take us to Division 3. Now, Division 3, we have 2 kits that you can pick from here in terms of base kits that are available. And we're going to just plow through them in numerical order, basically the number on the car, right? So the first vehicle that's available is also run by Object T Racing, and that is the Landmark-sponsored AE 101 Toyota Corolla 11. This car, as the decals come, you basically paint the front ball. The way this bumper is, there's a little chin spoiler that's separate. You paint that dark blue, and then the decals do everything else. You paint the back bumper red, as you can see here, and basically all of the livery, if we can get this to focus, that would be fantastic, but of course it's not going. There it goes. All of the, cow spots or whatever you want to call them on the side, the front bumper, all of the color, basically, over the hood, over the side of the door, over the spoiler in the back. You do paint the spoiler red, but the trunk area, that's all done with decals in this kit. And the Object T number 11 here won its class in the 4th race of the season. So there is that. And then we have the appearance of the EG6 Civics, which are the little Jelly Bean 3-doors. These cars would run 2 seasons, the very back end of the 1992 season, and then the entirety of the 1993 season. There are a couple of teams that will take the car and run it for a couple races in the 1994 season, but the 1994 season, again, is Group 2 sedan-based, so you see a couple of teams, low-budget teams, run these cars in part of the 94 season until they can get their 4-door Civics up and running. But this is the Jax car, the Mooncraft Racing. You're going to see this is the first of several Jax cars that sponsored cars you can make if you are interested in this livery package specifically. And this car will win the 6th race of the season. Now, Jax runs their EF9, the big boxy 3-door Civic, up through the 6th race of the season. So this is legitimately the first, wins the first round that they put the new Civic into, because they run it in 6, 7, and 8. Let me think. What else? I believe, from looking at it, that this livery continues unchanged into 1993, because it only ran this way for a short period of time. I smell like wet cat food, which probably means that I have some things to clean up. Why all of a sudden I'm making a face. But like I said, this car is available. I will leave this. We're going to for a second talk about this because I don't want to come back to it. Also, for the EG6 Civic, Frankie makes a set of decals for the Idemitsu Motion car, and that's what this here is. Actually, it's a dual set because you can build the Idemitsu Motion car out of it, and then you can build a 1994 Gear Race of Macau car out of it also with a different set of decals. But primarily, we're interested in this. The Idemitsu Motion car wins the, let me see here, the 7th in the 8th race of the season for their class, and they are the Division III champions for the 1992 year. So you can build the Division II car as well. Unfortunately, you can't build like I said, the Division III car. You can't build the Division II car. No decals exist for it, but you can build the Division III car, and that will lead us with 3 more Division III cars to talk about real quick. All of these are Hasegawa kits. You build them straight out of the box with the decals that are included. First up is the number 25. Let me make sure I'm looking at something off camera. So there we go. Back on camera here. And go this way with it. That fits better. This is the Advan, another Advan Corolla. Advan ran 2 cars that year, a Corolla and a BMW. Unfortunately, there's no the actual Team Advan BMW. There's no decals for because this Team Tyson one there are decals for. But basically, they kind of look the same. The number 25 car here, it wins its class in the 2nd race of the season. Then you have the Fujitsu 10 Toyota Toms team. Toyota Toms, famous throughout JTCC and then into Grand Touring once JTCC peters out in 98. This car you can build as one of 2 team cars. You have the number 36 car here, and then you see on the back here you have the number 37 car. The number 37 car is being shown to you probably, in its living color pictures because it is the one of the cars. It is the one of the 2 team cars that actually did something in 1982. The number 37 car won its class in the 5th race of the season. The number 36 car didn't do really well at all throughout the season. And then last but not least is the very cool, just because it has the one female driver that ran in JTCC, the Kaiwasho Corporation Toyota Civic. Very, very basic livery, guys. It's just white on a blue car with orange wheels for some reason. But be that as it may, it's still a cool conversation piece. We'll get you on the real picture here on the sides and get you a look at what the car actually ran. Almost like a petty blue, if nothing else. I said it had a female driver. It was the only time that happened in JTCC, as far as I remember. And it's just for the fact that it exists is kind of cool. And you'll see this number 88 team will come back again later on. So, guys, that wraps up the 1992 season. Many choices, several of them very easy because the decals come in the box of the model kit that you're purchasing. Several decal sheets are readily available out there still. Some require a little more digging if you really want to do some of the comprehensively collect the 1992 season, but there's a good bit of stuff just out there ripe for the pickings, as it were. So anyway, guys, we hope you enjoyed it. Hope you found it informative, and we'll see you guys on the other side.